If it is or if it ain't, it's going to come out. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is June the 3rd, 2022, and today the topic is Thus Says the Lord. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope that you all had a great day yesterday. Mine was just fine. It was kind of busy-ish, I had several, I guess you could say like meetings yesterday, but most of it was virtual. So, all of it was, most of it was virtual. So that worked out. And then, I had a few phone conversations and whatnot as well. But yeah, that's pretty much what my day looked like. Outside of that, being a mom, I worked out yesterday. So, woo, I got that other 50% of my 2-day workout week. So, glad I pushed through and did that. So, yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays it worked out. At least for this week. We'll see what I do next week, but if the Lord's will, of course. But as for this week, it felt good to do it on those 2 days. And so to God be the glory for that. Again, y'all know that it's Friday, right? So we have a new episode of God, Sex, and Love, the talk show that will be going live at 7 p.m. And in case you were wondering, our guest today will be the lovely Miss Michaela Juniel. She is the owner of TTC Boutique, as well as a ongoing sponsor and supporter of yours truly, as well as God, Sex, and Love. And, she has her own, show, YouTube channel and everything like that as well. And so, we're going to be getting to know her and all about her endeavors and things like that tonight at 7. So I hope that you all tune in. And don't forget to support. Go support her. Purchase some things. If you feel so led to do. Again, her website is ttcboutique.com. So, thus says the Lord. So, that's the topic today. The interesting thing, let me tell you the interesting way that I came to that today. So, I did my prayer meditation, and afterwards, it's like I saw a man with a mustache. I didn't recognize him. He wasn't recognizable or anything like that. I don't think he was African American, but it does matter, right? All I saw was a man with a mustache, and I was like, okay, man with mustache, So, and I ain't gonna lie, I kind of almost, was gonna take some time to see if I thought about something else, but then I was convicted. I was convicted by something I shared with you all in my promo for the Juice Journal, right? I don't know if y'all remember that promo where I was doing the 7 steps. I was sharing the 7 steps that are in here, how to use this journal and whatnot. And one of the examples that I gave y'all is that, whatever comes to your heart and mind, write it down and start looking it up. So even if it's silly, right? Even if it's something as silly as hamburgers or whatnot, do it. Because at the end of the day, it could lead you somewhere, right? Well, I was convicted by those words, so I ended up looking up verses centered around man and mustache. Or man with a mustache. And I just was like, okay. And I came across, a few interesting things, but one thing I started to notice was the constant use of upper lip. I kept saying upper lip. And I was like, okay. So I started looking up verses centered around upper lip. And eventually I came across this verse that I'm going to get ready to share with you all, which, has nothing really to do with an upper lip or mustache, unless one of these men had it. I don't know, um, but it led me to this verse, which ultimately led me to go deeper, and from there, that's where this conversation comes from. Thus says the Lord. So I know that's kind of a unique way to get to the topic today, but that's why I share these things with y'all, because at the end of the day, um, it's blessing me, right? It's blessing me, but then also I hope that it encourages you and inspires you to know that, hey, God could be talking to you, man. God could be talking to you and use anything. Speaking of that, like before I shared this verse, if I needed any confirmation, um, my mom had a similar experience that I was sharing with you all yesterday. She had a similar experience. That was the crazy thing too. We had a conversation yesterday, and she didn't see the juice. Like she hadn't watched the juice or whatever, and I had talked to her that morning, and I was like, "Hey, mom, did you watch the juice?" She was like, "No, not yet, but I meant to call you. I wanted to talk to you." And she was telling me about the experience that she had. I was telling y'all, I was describing it as like a shower. She described it as rain. But we were saying the same thing. The same thing I said is the same thing she said. And I just was like, "Ma, you gotta watch the juice. You gotta watch the juice. I can't talk to you no more. You gotta watch the juice." And because I was like, if I keep talking, I'm gonna tell you what happened. And so then she watched it, and I guess that got that confirmation of her spirit as well about everything. And I'm just like, man, it's gotta be the glory. Like this, I know it might sound crazy to people or whatever, but I'm just like, hey, man, God be speaking, God be moving, and I'm excited. She's excited to see what God's gonna do. I'm excited, and yeah, we feel good about what we've heard from the Lord. But anywho, let's get into this, y'all. Let's get into this. Shout out to the person that was watching live. There was two of y'all, but it's one now, so thank you. Thank you for sticking it out, faithful one. But anywho, so the first verse so again, I told y'all that all that led me to this verse here, and this is the verse that stood out to me that made me go deeper. So it's 2 Kings 7:3. It says, "Now there were 4 men who were at the entrance to the gate, and they said to one another, 'Why are we sitting here until we die?'" So that made me want to go deeper, and I ended up reading the entire 2 Kings and 7, and then I went back and I read 2 Kings 6:8 through 33. So that's the go deeper section today. Malika, Miss Malika, good morning. This lady was taking a nice little relaxation the other day. Last time I saw you, so I know you refreshed. So you got that, you got that fresh anointing for the folks too, right? Thanks for tuning in. But yes, so that's what I read in the Go Deeper. That's the Go Deeper section today. Those verses that I just shared. But here's the ones that stood out to me, or some of the verses that stood out to me. So, one was 2 Kings 6:11 through 12. It says, "Now the heart of the king of Aram, Syria, was enraged over this thing. He called his servants and said to them, 'Will you not tell me which of us is helping the king of Israel?' One of his servants says, 'None, my lord, O king, but Elijah the prophet who is in Israel. Tell the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom.'" So when y'all go deeper, right? When y'all check this out, Miss Malika said, "Hey, girl." But yeah, when y'all check this out, y'all gonna see like obviously there was a lot going on. There was like this battle happening, and this king that I just read y'all was trying to attack the king of Israel, but the prophet Elisha was warning him, and so the king was moving according to what Elisha was saying, and so this king that I was just telling y'all about or reading about couldn't attack, right? And he was getting mad about it and was like, "Who?" Like, there's a mole among us. There's a mole, trying to figure out like who it was. And his people was like, "Nah, it's not none of us." Basically, that's what I just read. So that's interesting all by itself, just because like, I mean, well, I say the main thing I receive here is that you got that protection when you listen to the words of the Lord, right? When God is speaking and you listen, there's protection in that. There's safety in that, and everything like that. So anyway, let's keep going, right? Let's keep going and see what it's saying. So the next thing that stood out to me to share at least is 2 Kings 6:16 through 17. it says, Elisha answered, "Do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." Then Elisha prayed and said, "Lord, please open his eyes that he may see." And the Lord opened the servant's eyes, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire surrounding Elisha. So basically, what happened in between those verses that I didn't read to y'all is that so this king, he sends out, he's like, let's go get Elisha, right? And so in the natural, Elisha, and I guess I don't know if it was one servant or there was a lot of them, but one was talking, I guess, and he was like, we see this, army coming to get you. And Elisha's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And said with everything that you guys just heard me read. And that's the thing too. Was we just talking the other day about like spiritual versus natural and like the spiritual battle and whatnot? Like it can look like evil is winning, and it do. I ain't gonna lie. Like even right now, sometimes it looks like evil is winning. Like man, you be like, golly, like can we get a win? Can we get something to to just some confirmation or whatever? Well, maybe this is the confirmation today that that no matter what it looks like, right? Whatever God says is what it is, and God has everything under control, even if it looks like things are crazy, right? And speaking of that, things was looking bad in this whole account and whatnot. Things was looking pretty bad for, I guess I would say, even for Israel, because the verses after this, it goes on in no, I was guess towards the end of 2 Kings 6, it's talking about how there was a famine, like a great famine, so much so where they were selling donkey heads, I get, for food, right? And dove's dung for food. Y'all know what dung is, right? Excrement, right? Okay, so as far as I understand, now y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, if dung is not excrement. I didn't look up the definition this morning. I would just recall from my previous my previous anyway. Miss LaMelo, can you laughing at me? You laughing at me? Anyway, but yeah, they was eating donkey's heads and dove dung. And even eating their own children. That was the other thing as well. Some women came, and one woman was mad because the other woman convinced her to cook her baby, and it was time to eat the other woman's baby, and I guess the woman didn't want to, eat her baby. And so they went to the king with this, and obviously the king was upset, about it and whatnot. And so he was going to send somebody to go behead Elisha at this point, right? And so that's what happened, and that's what gets me to this verse that stood out. 2 Kings 7:2. Then the royal officer, on whose arm the king leaned, answered the man of God, said, if the Lord should make windows in heaven, could this thing take place? So basically what happened, well, let me say, hold on, let me finish reading. Elisha said, behold, you will see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat of it. So after that, what I just told y'all about the people eating donkeys and donkeys' heads and dove's dung and their own children, again, the king was going to behead Elisha at this point. Like, look, God is doing this to us. This guy that you're talking about is doing this to us. And Elisha prophesied food, right? He prophesied that things was going to get better the very next day and X, Y, and Z. And I guess the king's messenger didn't believe him and said what he said about like, if God will even open up the windows of heaven, with this thing happen. And Elisha told him, yeah, it's going to happen. You're going to see it happen, but you're not going to be able to eat of it. And I'm just going to read y'all what happened. So anyway, so 2 Kings 7:20. And so it happened to him, for the people trampled on him at the gate, and he died. So what happened in between those verses that I shared with you guys is that basically it happened the way that Elisha said. Those people that I read, or that account that I read to you all earlier, that verse that I read about the 4 men at the gate, X, Y, and Z, basically they found the camp empty because God had confused the minds of the believe it's Assyrians, y'all can, or whoever they were fighting, I can't remember. Anyway, he confused their minds, and they were gone from their camp. They left everything. And so first, the people at the that we first read in the first verse, they started to kind of plunder, but then they was like, let us tell the king about this, right? Because, this, it's not right for us to keep this for ourselves. We got to tell everybody about this. So they went and told the king, and then they went to go see, and they saw that everything was left there. And so they started to, I don't know if I guess they automatically started selling. That's crazy. But anyway, they started plundering that camp that was left, just available for them. And in that process, that same gentleman that I guess doubted, right, ended up getting trampled as people was coming in, I guess, to get food or whatnot. So anyway, all this stands out to me this morning because, it kind of reminds me of something that the lady I was telling y'all about yesterday kind of shared with me because, I guess again, it's not that just, how can I say? Well, there was room to doubt the other day, right? There was room to doubt the things that the lady was saying to me. Instead of doubt, I just wrote things down. I was like, I'm just going to take the words, and write them down and do accordingly and pray. And, I talked to my mom and other than that, but you know what I'm saying? Just taking the words and whatnot. Because a lot of times, well, from what I'm understanding, and maybe Ms. Blake could chime in on this, I don't know. But what I'm understanding is that, when you receive a prophecy, it's usually confirmation to something that God already told you. So, usually, right? So, and I know we got to be careful, right? We got to be careful with that type of thing because, again, people can't take advantage of that gift. And we're not talking about the other side, of that as well. We're not talking about like diviners and all of that. We're talking about, words from the Lord, right? But again, usually words from the Lord are usually like confirmation for you. Like God already told you, and then he sent somebody else to tell you the same thing, or just as confirmation. And again, like I told y'all earlier, it was confirmation again for me to hear my mom experience the same thing I did and said the same thing that I said about my experience without having listened to my testimony and without knowing what the conversation that I had the day before. So again, like things like that can be confirmation, right? But again, it's easy to brush those type of things off. It's easy to kind of look down and be like, man, that ain't what I see right now, so I don't believe it, X, Y, and Z. I remember those days back. Look, the cultivation period, I would be like, Lord, in my mind, it's like you showing me my husband, this great man, but I don't see where is this man? We can do that about every aspect of life, right? It can be about anything. So yeah, but I would say again, like we talked about earlier, it behooves us, right, to listen to the words of God, and believe the words of God. Because if not, I mean, hey, look at what happened to this man. Instead of being able to enjoy the plunder, right, with all the rest of the people, he ends up killed in the process. He sees it, but he can't partake of it, just like the prophet said. So, I would just say that's the juice this morning. Like, that's the juice, man. If thus says the Lord, man, again, be careful, right? Be wise, use wisdom, seek God, pray and all that type of stuff. I mean, again, you'll know them by their fruit. You're going to know a real prophet versus a not real one. I mean, ultimately, use your discernment about things that you hear and see and whatnot. But, at the end of the day, if God is speaking to you and you receive those confirmations, then believe. Have faith and believe that he's going to do everything that he said he's going to do. So, that's the juice this morning, y'all. The Bible verse of today is Romans 8:6. It says, now the mind of the flesh is death, but the mind of the spirit is life and peace. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. everyone, it's your girl Miracle Sims, and you already know that your girl is now an author, and my very first publication is none other than a creation inspired by the juice. That's right, friends, you can go on Amazon.com and find the Juice 30-Day Bible Study Journal. And this, friends, I hope and pray will help you create your own Bible study experience similar to the one that your girl here shares with you every day here on God's Sex and Love.